Hey cats, Eddbud here. Since I reviewed the NIKE ZOOMX Invincible Run 3 the other day on the channel, it's been one of the fastest viewed videos in a while. There's been loads of questions in the comments, loads of opinions. I'm really quite staggered actually at just how many people are interested in this shoe. Lots of people have picked it up, lots of people got some very strong opinions. On paper I never thought it would be that type of shoe. I just thought it was going to be one of those very subtle iterations. Quite a departure for some people, and it's not the shoe that it was before. So I'm going to dive into some of those comments, opinions and questions I've received on that initial review. Diving deeper today into the ZOOMX Invincible Run 3. Thanks for joining me on the channel, people. If you haven't done so yet, do hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications. Just hit 35,000 subscribers. Thank you all for supporting the channel. Do give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. Loads and loads of comments to dive into that I found within the initial review of this shoe. Lots of you are enjoying the shoe so far. You picked it up on release. Sasha M really is of the same opinion as me. They really enjoyed the V1 and the V2. All the changes here really seem to be positive in my opinion. I'm liking that more refined heel collar that we've got in the Invincible Run 3. There's still more than enough cushion and padding there for what I need. Less foam where it doesn't need to be, and just an all-round better fit. Though there are some people out there that are adamant that there's more foam here in the midsole. I don't think there's any differences here in terms of the actual midsole stack. I think it's pretty much the same. I think what people are referring to is perhaps more foam around this sort of section of the shoe, in that sort of midfoot area. Is there anything more there? I'm not entirely sure. James Mulvey is enjoying the new version of the shoe with some apparent extra support in that midfoot area. I think perhaps I'm feeling a little bit more stability here in this iteration of the Invincible Run. Maybe there's a touch more control perhaps. If anything, I think that's coming from the improved fit that we've got in the upper material and that retooled outsole design. Viewer Stephen Bourne is having issues with lacing in his pair of the Invincible Run 3. He suggests that he's getting some pain in the bridge of his foot. I think he kind of means this sort of section here, just kind of inside the arch, that sort of area. I may be wrong, but I think that's what he means. I'd suggest this is perhaps down actually to the very soft foam in the Invincible Run, and there's a lack of any real arch support there. It's just kind of like a slab of foam. It doesn't really creep up and around the arch at all. It's a very flat midsole. If you remove the insole, perhaps Stephen, you can insert a slightly firmer insole from another shoe, see if that solves the problem. Maybe if you've got one that's got a slightly more pronounced arch, that could work. I don't think lacing changes here are going to cut it if you've got that type of issue. I just think that's inherent with this model. It's very, very compressive and squashy, and there's no real arch support. I did mention that in the original V1 release when I reviewed that shoe. People suggested that wasn't a thing, but clearly that is affecting some runners out there. Let's not forget, we're all different. We all have different requirements from our running shoes. I have to be honest, I do tend to have to cinch the laces a little bit more around this area of the foot. Maybe that's why I'm getting more success in achieving a consistent lockdown. I always use those final eyelet holes here. Pretty much 95% of the time I use a runner's knot, all my shoes. Now I have found sock thickness does affect this a little bit. I have been using some Adidas socks. They're slightly thicker, sort of like ankle cut ones. They seem to do the trick without any issues on a very consistent basis. So if you're having trouble with heel slip, that's something I haven't really experienced when using a runner's knot with the shoe, try some different socks. You never know, it might work. That could be one possible component in finding a solution and fixing the problem. One viewer did mention that they had heel slip in the shoe and it perhaps ran a half size long. They even tried half sizing down, but that just made the shoe a little bit too tight and constrictive in the toe box. I think they were going to try some grip socks to see if that resolved the issue, but I haven't seen an update on that yet. If that has been something you have tried and it's been successful, let the runners and I know down in the comments. One viewer did mention that for a $180 shoe, you shouldn't have to mess around with the lacing. I'm not too sure that it's a trick really using a runner's knot. I know that some running shoes are literally designed to have that. You've got these extra eyelets here towards the business end of the shoe. They're there for a reason, so you can do it. So it's not really a trick. You know, you can lace your shoes however you want to. Under and over and under, however you like. As long as it works, that's all that matters, really. I remember complaining about the Alpha Fly 2 and how it was really tough to get on. And a load of people sort of said to me, well, you know, that's just the way it is. be quiet and deal with it. As I say, pretty much 95% of my running shoes I do lace using a runner's knot, so it's not really a big deal. It takes a minute or something to relace the shoe to get it into that configuration. So there's a few people mentioning that the Invincible Run 3 feels a little bit tighter than the V1 and the V2, though there are some people saying that it's looser and it runs longer and they're getting heel slip. So maybe manufacturing tolerances, perhaps. I do recall a while ago watching a documentary where there was a Nike employee, or a former Nike employee, something like that, where they'd actually go through the inventory in the Nike outlet store and find all of the shoes that were the same size in a specific model, and then actually try them all, because they would all be very slightly different. There was such variance between the same shoe size that it took them a while to find a pair that were exactly what they needed. If you want a spot-on fit, then just buy yourself 10 pairs and you should be alright. Perk Runner 1, for example, wanted a wide fit version. That really goes to show that one shoe does not fit all. Bit of common sense really, but I think this shoe is one of those models that you do need to try out in store and on foot. Of course, that's not very easy for everybody to do. There's like 1 or 2 running shoe stores, or at least a store that will sell some running shoes in my local area. It's really difficult. I'd have to go like an hour at least to try some others, maybe even further than that. It's just not always easy for people geographically to go out and try a shoe in store these days. It's a sad fact. If you've got a local running shoe store, please do go and support it if you can. Long-term viewer of the channel, Blixton, mentions that the shoe seems to use a straighter last, which he feels affects the mid area of the shoe. I think that Blixton is absolutely right. There's a slightly different fit here to this shoe. Maybe they have changed the shape and the profile of the upper a little bit, and for some people it's working, other people not so much. Now this shoe feels a little bit closer to the original version of the Nike Infinity Run. It's almost like a cut and paste job actually. There's many of the same kind of materials here and the way that they've been used. Again, that was a shoe that it really worked for some people in terms of the upper. Other people got heel slip, so I think it is down to that upper profile. I don't think it's anything to do with the way that the midsole or anything's changed. It's definitely upper profile, and perhaps the last is actually at fault here. Kind of weird that the Invincible Run over the 3 iterations have got slowly thinner, but the Infinity Run has actually got thicker, so they've kind of reversed roles. Heaven knows why, probably to make more shoes that they can sell. Martin Bergman commented that the ZoomX is firmer and doesn't smell the same. Martin, you sound like my type of guy. I'm not sure that I'm finding this any firmer than the V1 or V2 releases, though I will test it myself with my nose now, Martin, for you. So here we go. Slightly disinfectant-y type sort of smell. And here's a pair of the V2. Can't really tell any difference. I mean, it's no Endorphin Pro 3 or Speed 3. Some of the Puma shoes are very potent these days, very odorous. I can't really detect any significant odour coming from the ZoomX. Sorry, Martin. Is the foam any different? Well, I think certainly it feels slightly different. They've got a different coating here on it. There's an outer layer. Maybe that's a little bit thinner. It did feel quite thick on the V1 and the V2. Maybe that affected the way that the foam compresses inside. I've got to say, I'm not feeling any considerable difference. It feels pretty much like an Invincible Run should feel. Fudbeer 1 and others did find the laces a little short in some sizes to tie a runner's knot. I've got to be honest, you need some dexterity, maybe of a seasoned seamstress to be able to tie a runner's knot. They're pretty short. I'm not sure why Nike don't, try these things out. Just get someone to put the shoe on and see if they can tie a runner's knot before you assign the lace length. It's not hard, is it? That does appear to be a bugbear for many, many runners and viewers of the channel so far with the Invincible Run 3. Now, another big change that viewers are either really enjoying or they don't like at all is the upper profile change. I think that it looks 100 times better than the V1 and the V2. Just looks like a shoe that you kind of want to wear and you won't look like a clown. Damien Crosby is actually missing the reflective strips on the lateral and medial side of the toe box, and he doesn't like the large swoosh that sits right on top there. I kind of like it, I've got to be honest. I am not missing those reflective pieces though here. In fact, yeah, this upper just, it doesn't do it for me. I like the new one. Those reflective pieces cause me a bit of discomfort. I say that, they cause me some really bad blisters on the outside of my big toes. That seems to be gone now. I haven't experienced that again. So yeah, good riddance to those reflective pieces. I'd rather just wear a really sort of garish high-vis jacket or something. I'm not sure that those tiny little bits are going to save me from getting injured or someone not seeing me in the dark, but if I wear a very high-vis jacket, you know, very bright, luminous, that's going to work. Luminous? Maybe I could paint my Invincible Run 3 with some luminous paint. If you know of anybody that's got a few tins going, let me know. Now, there's one or two runners out there that have found the materials here in the Invincible Run 3 a little bit cheap, a bit plasticky. I can't really say that I'm feeling that here. It feels pretty good. It's actually one of the better Nike models that I've got recently in terms of build quality. It's no like glue and shoddy paint. The only thing I don't like is this sort of cheap looking pink sort of bit here. I might try and get rid of that with some nail polish remover. I shall have to steal some from Mrs. Eddbud. I think last time I left it open or something and it evaporated. I was in the bad books. Someone mentioned that the shoe's just got a far too squeaky feel. That is pretty much what this shoe does. It's a big slab of incredibly compressive packing foam, basically. It is going to squeak like a mouse. If you don't want that and you want a more consistent, firmer feel, do go for something else, because that is not this shoe's forte. Yeah, for a firm ride, this is not the shoe you're looking for. Though I have to agree with Paul Forder that the midsole does look like a slab of cheese with the sides cut off. You are spot on, Paul, with that dairy-related observation. Beauty is, of course, in the eye of the beholder when it comes to running shoes. Long-time viewer Matthew does mention that the shoes are slightly orthopedic in their appearance. Not sure I'd go that far, Matthew. I actually quite like the profile of the Invincible Run 3. I mean, yes, the shoe has an extremely wide base here, but for long, slow runs, they're working a treat for me. It won't be long before I get up to 100 miles to give you a longer term review of the shoe. I'm really enjoying running in it. It really is quite a joy. So a selection of opinions and comments there from the viewers about this shoe. Did you pick up the Invincible Run 3? Is it already a staple in your shoe rotation? Or did you put it on foot and then straight back in the box? Let the runners and I know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Musical interlude for you. Really fantastic tune today from the Fratellis, one of my favourite groups. Bit of an overlooked album from 2013. It's called We Need Medicine. There's a few surefire hits on there, there's a few duds, but there's one track that really does ring true. That is called Rock and Roll Will Break Your Heart. It's got a wonderful melody here. It's kind of bittersweet and a fantastic chorus. Really strong, powerful stuff. Very different to some of the Fratellis kind of sing-along material that you all know. Shows some real craft of songwriting here. It's kind of a bit like a Phil Spector style tune, I suppose. Kind of builds up slowly, they have more and more layers. The vocal really is full of emotion, sincerity. It really does sound like the singer really means what he's saying, and I love songs like that. Go and check it out, people. Rock and Roll Will Break Your Heart by the Fratellis. Thanks for tuning in, people. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Help the channel to grow by hitting that subscribe button. Click the bell below for notifications too, so you don't miss out on any new videos. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you